Hey guys, it's Blizzard back with more Genshin Impact. Today's video, I'll be discussing about the two new Cryo Artifact sets. I'll be talking about whether these sets are any good, and if they are, who are they good for? Without further ado, let's get into it. The first set is the one that everybody's been whispering before 1.2 even got out, the Blizzard Strayer set. What this set does is, if the opponent is affected by Cryo, the crit rate goes up by 20%. If the opponent is frozen, the crit rate goes up by an additional 20%. Therefore, without anything else, you get 40% crit rate. To put that into perspective, a 5-star crit rate headband only gives 31.1 crit rate when maxed out. Now, because this set is intended for Cryo users, it's also easy to imagine that the Cryo Elemental Resonance will be applicable. So, adding an extra 15 crit rate, you get 55% crit rate already. It means that without even any effort, you will be able to reach the general goal of getting to above 50% just with what we have so far. Anyway, the Cryo characters that we have so far are 1. Kaeya, 2. Chongyun, 3. Chi-Chi, 4. Diona. Amongst them, 2 are healers. Chongyun at Constellation 1 has a decent DPS output, but actually his base values are very low, so his scaling is rather poor as a DPS. On top of that, Chongyun will shatter frozen enemies, so basically, the artifact is only meaningful half of the time. You're looking for a sword or a polearm user to make use of the set. And currently, the best candidate is undeniably Kaeya. Based on the tests I have done, Kaeya actually has the highest base DPS output among all of the 4 stars in the game, at least as far as his auto attacks are concerned. A lot of people have overlooked Kaeya because he is free and he is very cost effective in superconduct team comps without much investment. In other words, people initially thought that Kaeya's ceiling is low because he is cheap to build. It's actually very wrong because Kaeya's whole package is amazing. With the caveat that his 1-2 charge attack is the one that is superior, which means that he would require a lot of stamina for this. His E actually deals decent damage considering the cooldown for it. In comparison to Bennett, for example, at level 6 talent, Kaeya deals 267%, while Bennett deals 192%. Of course, the difference is that Bennett can actually press that E every 2 seconds or so within his ultimate, so of course Bennett's overall DPS output based on E will be higher. But check out what his ultimate is all about. At level 6, it deals 108% damage per icicle. If you are not at Constellation 2, if you are standing next to an enemy the whole time, it will hit for 13 times. It means the total damage dealt per ultimate will be 1.4k% damage. This is actually similar to Ningguang's ultimate that deals 1450% damage if all the 12 gems hit. So Ningguang has a slightly higher damage, but it is actually single target, whereas Kaeya can hit everyone around him. On top of this, if you get his Constellation 2 and you get the full duration, the damage is almost doubled. At Constellation 6, Kaeya will add another icicle, and it may simply mean that it is adding an additional 1/3 more damage. That is ridiculous. So, by the way, if you guys haven't already bought Kaeya from the Star Glitter shop, his first constellation will increase his auto attacks by an additional 15% crit rate. It means that when he is in a Cryo team comp, without any more bonuses, Kaeya is expected to have at the very least 70% crit rate, and it's almost impossible to not have a bit more even if you didn't manage to get the crit rate rolls from substats. So it is actually safe to assume that he will reach about at least 75% crit rate. What this means is that you can just practically ignore building crit rate and just build crit damage all the way. From just a maxed out 5-star crit damage artifact plus the Black Cliff Longsword at level 90, you can easily reach 100% crit damage. In lieu of all of this, let's consider this team comp. Kaeya plus Chongyun. So Kaeya's attack will all be Cryo, giving him no split damage, and it means that he can focus on Cryo Cup. Kaeya plus Xingqiu or Barbara, it also means that you can get a permanent freeze. It means the trio of Kaeya plus Chongyun plus Xingqiu or Barbara will make up the core, and then the last slot can just be an animal support that will boost the Cryo damage even more. Maybe someone like Sucrose is ideal if you use Barbara, or Jean if you don't have a healer. Next, let's talk about the Glacier and Snowfield set. The 4-piece bonus is increases superconduct damage by 100%, which isn't interesting because superconduct doesn't do much damage in the first place. Increases melt by 15%, and then using an elemental burst increases cryo damage bonus by 30%. Now, this set seems to be a set that will be good for support Kaeya and support Chongyun, and it also seems to be the set meant for Ganyu. Let's talk about support Kaeya. Support Kaeya is mostly used on Razor team comps. It means that he may or may not benefit from the superconduct damage increase, but the increased cryo damage will affect his ultimate even when he has been swapped out. For support Chongyun in a Bennett melt team comp, the extra melt damage is very useful for him. Now, while I do not recommend Chongyun as DPS in general, to be honest, his damage is quite competitive after Constellation 1. With this artifact, you get 10 seconds of 45% cryo damage bonus after you activate the ultimate. And in Chongyun's case, the ultimate's cooldown is only 12 seconds and the energy cost is very low. So I think this artifact would actually be perfect for DPS Chongyun. The bonus cryo damage lasts for 10 seconds and Chongyun's field lasts for 10 seconds. Considering the fact that he can't make full use of the other cryo set, this is actually quite possibly the best cryo artifact choice if you want to use him for DPS. Lastly, Ganyu. Because Ganyu is an archer, headshots kind of benefit from the crit bonus a bit less from the earlier artifact. On top of that, it's difficult for Ganyu to maintain perma-freeze and continuous cryo damage unlike Kaeya. The reason is if Ganyu is paired with Xingqiu, she will have to do constant autos, but Chong's field will not convert her attacks into cryo. And if Ganyu is paired with Barbara, she will have to be in the melee range to freeze. The most sensible pairing is with Mona for the freeze comp Ganyu. Anyway, also with this artifact set, Ganyu will do more cryo damage after her ultimate activation. From the preview, it looks like this will be relevant for when Ganyu is a DPS or support because her ultimate persists even after she is swapped out. To wrap this all up, here are some closing thoughts regarding the new cryo artifacts. For team comps that will take advantage of the frozen crit rate bonus, the thing that you guys have to bear in mind is that this will still be a mono element team comp. It means that it doesn't take advantage of the best reactions in the game, melt and vaporize. I believe that it will not compete against the melt and vaporize damage potentials, but this is fair because the enemies will be frozen, so it will be easier to land your hits. What the set does is it bridges the damage gap between melt or vaporize so that people will be encouraged to play around the freeze reaction a bit more. Now, currently, Spiral Abyss 12 makes Cryo one of the worst elements outside of the support provided on the last chamber for when Electro Vatuis are shielded up. Even then, an Anemo support can strip the shield, so using a Cryo unit isn't necessary per se. For the current content, it looks like a Cryo team can be considered after you have at least 2 proper teams to clear the 12th floor. In the future, a few things may happen. Number 1, more floors will be added where having a Cryo DPS is important. Number 2, there may be different characters who could enable a Cryo Melt DPS team. We just don't have a Pyro version of Xingqiu. Currently, it appears that a reverse melt team of Chongyun and Xiangling is the only one viable. Bear in mind that because Cryo has access to melt, there may be Cryo characters in the future who can be in the top DPS tier list. Before I end this video, I would like to say that since there is no indication that Kaeya, Amber or Lisa will ever be featured in the rate up banner, I think getting Kaeya from the Star Glitter shop is extremely valuable. Get that if you haven't already. Also, if you're very keen on DPS Kaeya, the next time the Blackcliff Longsword is available on the shop, you want to get your hands on that. That's all from me today. As usual, if you find this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe for more Genshin Impact content. Have a great one guys, bye bye.